Hello. Old Town Art Fair is going to be happening on Saturday, June 11th, and it goes from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. It's going to happen right alongside the Coffee Hag on North Riverfront in Washington.
Hello, and welcome back to this week's episode of the TF Cast. I'm your host, Willis Stout.
Hey, Zach here. The date is May 18th, 2022 here in the solarium.
And I'm your host, Jacob Bases. Today with us, we have Jenn Melby-Kelley, the founder of the Old Town Art Fair, here to talk about the event and what's going on in Old Town right now. Jenn, please introduce the event and what's going on in Old Town.
Hello. Old Town Art Fair is going to be happening on Saturday, June 11th, and it goes from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. It's going to happen right alongside the Coffee Hag on North Riverfront in Washington. And so it'll be right in between the buildings there, and we're going to have music all day long, and we'll have local artists all day long. So painters, sculptors, and also probably some jewelry makers, and then we might have some dancing going on, belly dancing. And the next thing would be some of the food trucks. So down the street from where we are, we're going to have the hub. There's going to be a bunch of food trucks there, and that's down on North Riverfront also. And we're also going to have mini donuts and snow cones. Yeah, so those are the kind of fun things that'll be happening that day.
Was too loose.
Okay.
Sure. And what are the hours of the event?
The event goes from 11 a.m. until 5 p.m.
Cool. How long has this been going on for as the founder?
It started in 2010. I met with a couple of friends then, and I said, hey, I want to do this event. Back in the 90s, the original owner of the Coffee Hag, they had something called the Starving Artist Street Fair, which was really fun. So I wanted to do another street fair, and just met with a handful of people from Mankato and a couple other different places and said, hey, let's put this together. And so it started in 2010.
And it's always been on that street alongside the back.
Correct.
Has it kind of, gone up and down in size, especially with the way the last couple of years have been? And what are we likely to see this year in terms of size?
Yeah, that's a really great question. And yeah, it has shrunk the last couple of years. We did a very small one last summer. And, the first year was a great year. I mean, we had a lot of people. It's hard for me to say numbers because people are coming and going the whole time. Mm-hmm. But I would say at least 500 people came through that first year. And so we get a nice big group of people that come through. And we're expecting it this year to be bigger than it's ever been.
This has always been a free event, right?
Yes, that's correct. We charge a very small fee for the vendors to be there, so it's a chance for the vendors to make some income doing what they love, and it's a free event. You can come and listen to music and just meet with the vendors and walk around and have a good time.
Sure. Let's talk about the music. Oh,
Yeah. I was going to ask about the music.
Go for it.
So, are you wondering who's performing or?
Yeah. What can people expect?
People can expect there's going to be a new musician every hour. So The musicians will come on at the top of the hour, play till 50 minutes. So they have 10 minutes to switch to the next musician. Unfortunately, I didn't bring a list of the musicians, but I can pull it up here really quick. On the Facebook page, we do have a Facebook page for the Old Town Art Fair. We'll have musicians like Mallory Murphy. Cool. So I'm sure you guys have met Mal.
Sure, yeah.
Caleb Brown Schultz and his friend Cooper. And then Sister Jenn, which is my band. Who else is going to be? It's going to be a really great...
I know one band that you might have missed.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Which one would that be? Onion Bun. Onion Bun. Okay. Onion Bun's going to be...
Those guys.
You know those guys. It's going to be a really great day of music. And we wanted to do this. The Hag has always been about promoting local artists and local music and soul and the energy of the space. And this is just like doing the same thing outside, so we can even have more music and more people. Yeah.
How has the Old Town in general, or the not just Old Town, but the community of people responded to the event? Is it well received or?
It is. You do ask really good questions. It is well received. It always has been from the Old Town area. I have never literally worked with them to do an event. I've always done it on my own, kind of grabbed people that I knew. And this year, we were able to meet and talk about it. And now I'm working with the Old Town Association, which is really great. So I'm working with other local business owners to get this up and running. So they're helping me with, getting all the signage and getting the artists to come in. And everybody that I'm working with so far is really excited about this opportunity. It's kind of the beginning of the summer, for all of us, because it happens so early in the summer. Now, this is the first year we've done that in probably 5 years, because I was doing it September because I didn't have to risk it raining. So I moved it, but we brought it back to June.
I found the list. And
Thank
it's
you.
actually funny, one of the people we missed because it's on Jake's shirt. We
I
got
knew it.
Mal Murphy to start the day out.
Yes.
Caleb and the Nightingale Band after that.
Yes.
Then some dorky band called Onion Bun. Then Sister Jenn, Ruby Blue, and then Silver Summer
Ruby
topping
Blue
up the
and then
night.
Silver Summer. Yep. It's
Cool.
gonna be a really good time. And we have some really great people doing sound. Do we know who's doing the sound for that?
Also probably some dork.
Yeah.
Some guy in a pink hat.
Yeah, that sounds right to
Some
me.
guy in a pink hat. And it's really great, because we get to work with local people to do these events and, working with people that understand sound and really love music and love the community. I mean, you guys are all very connected to the community, and that means a lot. So I don't know. I just got preachy for a second, but anyway. So thank you.
Well, we certainly appreciate.
Do you appreciate it?
Yes, we appreciate that.
I was gonna say something similar about you. You've always been you got art showing in the Coffee Hag fairly often, probably all the time.
All the time, yeah.
And music. So it's awesome to see too how you're kind of able to expand outside of the walls every once in a while and bring it to the street.
Yeah, thank you. It's really
great.
fun. Yeah, it's a really good time. And also the amount of community that come together to make it work is really great.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
let's just talk about the Hag a little bit in
Okay.
general. What it's like a landmark in Mankato. Like you can't even kind of like people just refer to it ominously as the Hag.
Yeah, right.
And
Yeah.
like what is your experience owning it like? What is it like? Just to be out there. In that position of, we don't have a gay bar here, so like it's kind of like the
I know.
spot.
Yeah.
Also being like the daytime stage, and there's not a whole lot of like stages who are doing that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So there's a lot going on there.
Yeah. Thank you. Being the owner has been really, I talk about it a lot with friends, just it's a really stressful experience to own your own business. And maybe some of you know that, but it's tough. But the great thing was, when I was an employee for the Coffee Hag back in the 90s, and I learned a lot about community and what it really meant, because I didn't really understand that, because I wasn't, I didn't come out as a lesbian until I was 21, so I didn't know there was community places for me to go. And owning it has been great, because my job in the very beginning was to get to know the community again, because I had moved away and then I came back, and just getting to know the people that live in this area, the musicians, the artists. There's so much talent here. And so there's been a lot of ups and downs, a lot of stressful times, and that's on the business side. On the other side has been a lot of fun, and getting to know some really fabulous musicians, some that tour the world that we've been able to meet, and artists, painters and stuff that are known all over the world. So that's been really fun. Did I answer that question? Should I talk more?
No.
Yeah, I'll talk all day. So
So how long have you been with the Coffee Hag? You mentioned you worked there before you became owner, so you've been there.
I've been there. I've owned it for 15 years, and I worked there for 6. So now it's 21 years. So I've been slinging coffee for 21 years.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and it's the most rewarding thing that I think I could have done, and I realized that I was doing a lot of other jobs and I was very good at them, but I was working for other people and they didn't see me, like my talents really. So the chance to purchase the Coffee Hag at the time that it came up was absolutely when it was supposed to be. So it's been a really great experience.
And what's it been like even this last year? You know, I wonder if this is certainly unique in recent history.
Yeah, that's
I
for
wonder
sure.
What it was like in being in your role there.
You know, it was a really scary time, you know, especially at the beginning of the pandemic, and I made the decision to close down the shop because I heard there was one case in Blue Earth County, and I was like, that's it, we're shutting down. And you know, for the first 3 months that we were shut down, I mean, I was trying to find money to save the shop because in my world, you don't have a bunch of money like sitting around. Like you're looking 6 months ahead to say, okay, this is what we need to do for the next 6 months. So this kind of threw a wrench into all of that. And but the great thing was that my staff and I really tried to stay as connected as we could. We made sure that they were getting paid, and you know, we had somebody in the cities that did a GoFundMe for the Coffee Hag, and that helped us pay our rent for a month. And, you know, after about, I think it was April or May, that we started getting some information in to try to find money for the business. And then we opened up really like softly with a window. We had a walk-up window. I don't know if you ever had a chance to see that, but yeah, that was a great way to let the customers know that we love them and we want them here. We just can't open up yet. So it's definitely been a trip to navigate that. That's for sure.
Highly unusual circumstances.
Yeah, yeah.
It's as an owner and a leader, it's a lot of pressure on you to kind of navigate those situations. So
Yeah, it was a lot, you know, and it was crazy trying to navigate through all the paperwork and try to find the money. But, you know, I made a video about that. I talked about how frustrating it was that these big companies were getting millions of dollars and the small business owners weren't getting anything. This was at the beginning of the payroll protection plan. But then they came out with a second round and then we were able to get it. But, yeah, it was a tough time.
Well, we're glad to see that you made it out
Thank
on the
you.
other side.
Me too.
I think that's where we're at.
Yeah.
We're at on the other side.
I think. Are
sort
we?
of.
Kind of.
I don't know. Maybe not totally clear, but
I think a lot of people have moved on. It's not over, but people have largely moved on. I actually heard a really interesting radio spot the other day. I think it was on NPR, where they were talking about how 2 years inside just changed how people interact with the public. And, you know, as a person who's been in the same location for X number of years, I kind of wonder, like, do you see a difference in, like, just the human behavior of your customers now versus pre-pandemic? And do you see... I mean, do you also feel that people's anxieties have been relieved when saying that?
You know, I do notice a difference. You know, people are buying things differently. They're going out differently, you know, so we're not staying open past 5 because people aren't around. So that's been that way. But what I've noticed is that it feels as though there's like a collective processing that's starting to happen for a lot of people since the pandemic is quote unquote maybe on the other side. We don't know yet. But I see a lot of people unpacking a lot of things, you know, mentally from, you know, dealing with the stress that we've all dealt with for the last 2 years. That's what I've noticed. And I know that people are really excited to be able to come back and sit down and have conversations. And that interaction is necessary for us, you know?
Mm-hmm. I say this kind of a lot, and I don't know if I've ever said it on the podcast, but I've worked in the service industry for a long time, and I think one of the like greatest contributions to my positive mental health is like very like loose relationships that I have with people who are like happy to be served. You know, like you're like part of their evening or their time, and like you bring happiness to them, and you have a transaction, and it's just it. When those things disappeared for me, that was huge.
Oh yeah.
And you're like it's like weird to be like emotional to like see someone to like give them a Captain and Coke. You know what I mean? Like that like that it's like not the greatest thing to be emotional about. But like it's very real. And I think that we've kind of come to like a reckoning with like how like important the service industry is
my
and
gosh,
like to people.
Yeah, and it really, truly, how necessary we are. And I think it's really good to remind yourself, if you're a barista or a bartender, we're the same, like we're there when people are either really exhausted or hungover, right? Or they're really awake and they want to, but they talk to us like they talk to bartenders, and we're there and we provide a smile. We give them a great cup of coffee. We know who they are, those kind of things. We do know that we make a difference in people's lives. And I think you're right. I think there is a reckoning within the service industry, and the work that we do is needed. It really is.
Yeah, I really do think it's equally tied on the other end of the spectrum. You really feel it as like tied to your finances if you're a person who provides those services.
Yes.
But on the other side, like I sometimes think that like when I'm like getting one of my favorite meals out, like that experience is like it's like just as like nourishing as the food.
Absolutely. I fully agree with that. My wife and I went to the Dakota Jazz Club recently and just got a great meal there. And I had that experience. I was like, wow, like what a great time. This person provided us with really great service, and it was a really great time. I agree with you that when I wasn't able to make that contact with my customers, it was hard. It was very hard. I missed them very much.
Yeah.
Sure. Are there any like any programs that got either lost during the pandemic or added after the pandemic? Like there's been a few things that I didn't even know were happening at the Coffee Hag till like the last year.
Yeah.
Like some open mics, there was comedy, and there's some shows that happen before I get out of bed.
Right. Well, in the work that you do, you're going to sleep in a little bit later. That's okay. I don't get up early. I just own a coffee shop. I'm not up early.
Good.
Right. We've had to adjust for ourselves, like how we were going to do certain things. And we've decided to focus on like a Sunday afternoon performance of music. And we used to do, Saturday and Sunday, or Friday, Saturday and Sunday. And right now we're sticking with that. It seems to work really well. The audience really likes it. They love the time. So we've changed our music up. We haven't had comedy nights or open mics yet. But that's something that hopefully will come back, down the road. It'll probably be a daytime comedy act, you know what I mean? Or a daytime open mic, but.
Sure. I actually have, like, when it comes to running shows, we talk about this a lot on this show, like how to make more shows happen in Mankato. And
Right.
like you're in a special kind of position because you don't sell liquor.
Right.
And like that seems to be the contingent factor on the finances of most entertainment. So I have to wonder how a coffee shop actually like makes shows happen. I don't think you charge ticket prices ever, do you?
No. One of the things that I wanted to make sure that we did in the beginning, because I'm a musician myself, I wanted to make sure that I was treating musicians with respect and making sure they had a great sound system and they had a great space to play. And they knew ahead of time, I can't pay them. I'm a coffee shop, we're not bringing in liquor sales, which is that's a different animal. So, what we were trying to do was just say, hey, we're not trying to do this, so what we did, we have a stage. I have a great sound system. You can come and play. You can play while you're going through up to Minneapolis or whatever, or before you play the bar later that night in Mankato, you can play at the Hag. So we just wanted to make sure that the musicians were excited to play. And so we treated them well. We fed them. We gave them organic fair trade coffee. We always try to give a house tip whenever we can. So we did our best. That's what we do. We want to take care of them. And we've had some great, Goodnight Gold Dust has been through numerous times and different, the Misty Trio, Chastity Brown started playing in Mankato, I think when she started playing at the Hag. And she plays all over the United States. So we've been able to bring people in, and I think it's because they see the love for the music that we all have.
Sure. I mean, that's awesome that you can make that work.
Yeah.
Can we talk about a deviation from the Coffee Hag a bit, but can we talk at all about your role with the city council?
Yeah, if you would like to. Yeah.
I'd be very interested. So for those who might not know, you are a member, you members on the city council?
Yep.
Member of the city council?
Yep.
And which district is that?
I'm City Council Ward 4.
Ward 4.
Yeah, and I was District 10. That might have changed now to District 17. I don't know. It's like everything changed when we did the redistricting for the map. But Ward 4 is my ward. So if you live in that ward, and you can find that information if you go to the city's website or just, say City of Mankato ward map, you can get that information as to what ward you're in.
Okay. I'd probably learn something. I don't know anything about that. Well, what I'm kind of curious about too is, as a business owner and being on the city council, I imagine you have a bit of a lens into certain things and kind of decisions and how they're going. But I just wonder about even Mankato as a larger whole over the last couple of years, kind of what you've seen, maybe like directions that things are moving in, or what Mankato seems to be doing on the other side of this sort of challenge.
Yeah, this challenge has been a great challenge for the city of Mankato. And, the great thing that we have is we really do have a great team of people that work for the city, and they're really good at what they do, and they bring the information to us as city council members. And then we look at that information and we make decisions that way. That's kind of how that works. And the city of Mankato is working to keep growing culturally and to keep, bringing in jobs and stuff like that. And so I see Mankato growing up. You know what I mean? I used to say it was kind of a stubborn teenager, like a nice sized city with a small town attitude. But I think that we're changing a lot. And the pandemic changed a lot. And I kind of saw how great the city employees were working during the pandemic, because there was a lot of people that had to give up time and a lot of people that had to move things around and were working a lot of hours because we couldn't, we'd have people out with COVID, and it was a crazy time, but they handled it really well. So
I think one thing that might be really valuable for our audience is like letting them know what exactly it is you do in that position. And like, I don't think a lot of people know that some of these races are kind of decided by like dozens of votes, and sometimes are almost like not voted on at all.
Absolutely.
And like there is an undue, it's like school board where there's just an undue amount of influence that can kind of easily be gained. So it is important to like know who your city council members are, but like what kind of decisions are you like privy to making, and like what kind of things do you interact with?
When it comes to interactions, I'm interacting with the city employees, whoever I need to talk to, and the city manager. And I'm also interacting with people in my ward when I'm at the grocery store, when I'm working at my shop. It doesn't matter where I'm at. If somebody comes to me with a city council question, I'm a city council person in that moment. And I don't know that a lot of people really understand that I'm really there to make sure that, especially in my area, I'm listening to everybody and we're making good decisions for the community. So I'm always available. I mean, you can talk to me, you can email me, you can call me. And if you just have a question, and if I don't know, my job is to make sure to find somebody who does. So as a city council person, I'm kind of the person that, all 7 of us up there, we get a packet before our meetings. And it might be 500 and some pages of information that the city is doing. But on the, at the beginning, they have a summary and they kind of show you, this is what we're looking at. This is what you're going to be voting on. So they tell us what we're going to do pretty much, right? And then we can look. They don't tell us what we're going to vote, but they tell us, this is where you look and this is what you do. And then you listen to your constituents. You listen to your gut. And decide what's the best vote for this. A lot of times what I'm voting on are simple things like, road construction or, things that are already kind of set in place, and our job is to make sure that we're getting the best bid and stuff like that, right? But I'm also there to hear concerns about landlords. I'm there, to hear concerns about, things that you think that I could help you with as a city council person. And the other thing is that you can run for city council. You don't have to have a degree in politics or anything like that. If you care about your community and you live in a ward and the ward is up for re-election, you can run, and it costs $20. And you put your hat in the ring and you go out there and you do your thing. So anybody can run as long as you're 18 and you live in Mankato.
Sure. That's
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah. And that it is, I feel like a lot of times, especially Americans and young Americans are really disenfranchised, especially with the federal government. You know, I hear a lot of young left-leaning people who are upset with the Biden administration for not administering a lot of the changes with the pen that they had anticipated. And the rubber really does actually hit the road in local politics to some degree. And like, you're not always going to get what you want there either. But I mean, at least you have someone to yell at.
Yeah,
you know?
absolutely. And it's true. And, you know, absolutely. And, you know, you do, as a community, you have a voice. And my job is to hear your voice and get it to the city, right? I went to Washington, D.C. Right after the election in 2017. It was a crazy time. But I went there for the National League of Cities. So I'm in there and I'm meeting all these different city council people, mayors from all over the United States. It was a really great time. And what I realized is, local politics, we get things done. Actually, on the federal level, it takes forever, right? And so it is true, where the rubber meets the road, you are spot on. And, you know, we see changes happening. You know, we're building a lower income housing space over by Cub Foods. You know, as a city, we're doing that, and we're working with a really great group. There's a lot of different things that we're talking about, things that can make a difference in people's lives. The community land trust is something we've kind of talked about. So you know, the city is more open, I feel, than they have been in a while. You know.
Yeah. I mean, the other thing that makes this, I mean, slightly a little bit more on the horrifying side is that we probably have at least a decade of a red Supreme Court, you know, minimum here. And it will be likely that when Roe gets overturned, that these will become issues of states' rights, and they're going to start, like, the Roe is a stepping stone to marriage equality being overturned and other such things. So our states will become the battleground of where these things happen. And Minnesota has some protections on Roe, to my understanding. Like, if Roe gets overturned, like, we're still going to have good access to abortion here, or similar access to what we have now, to my understanding. However, all of those things are going to become local battleground issues.
You are correct.
And, you know, for some that may be more or less frustrating, but it is, I guess, like, I personally don't have a lot of faith in the ability of the system to, like, you know, represent my values in most circumstances, but like, that isn't going to stop me from trying.
Right.
And like, with these, what I see is, you know, increasing reactionary federal changes that are going to come from this court that isn't going away anytime soon. It will be more important to either make those decisions with people who are on the city council, or, you know, interact with those things, or, you know, you get out in the streets and, you know, make your voice heard otherwise, because I mean, that's nearly the same thing. I'm sure you pay attention to what's going on the streets.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And you're hitting on a lot of things that are really big right now. On the city council level, you can make a really great difference in your community, and you do have a right to come and talk to your city council person. You know, it is our job to make sure that the city is making good decisions for the community. And those kind of decisions very well may come down to us. And that's a hard place. Because city council in general is bipartisan. You know, we're not talking about, you know, Republican or Democrat or anything like that. Our job is to work, discuss. If we disagree, that's cool. But our job is to get the job done and make the vote. So that's the good part, I think, about city council. Like, you can have real frustration with some of your cohorts, but, you know, it's your vote that you have to take care of, you know?
Is there an actual, like, level of governance where that kind of, like, obstructionism starts that we often see? You know, like, right now, when I look at, like, larger government, we have a government that refuses to work, you know, at large. Like, they don't want to vote on these issues or X, Y, Z. You know, where does that start? Like, you know, if someone were to just run as a basic obstructionist in city council, like, is it going to be like, you know, you have to vote today, or, like, can someone be like, no, like, we're not going to do this until, like, I get this written in and it's codified?
Yeah.
Like, where does that start?
It starts, you know, if you're going to get if I'm understanding your question, you're going to get the information for, let's say it's an ordinance that's going to come up. So we had an ordinance for the tobacco 21. So I don't know if you remember that. That happened a couple of years ago. That was a heated discussion. And one of the big issues that I personally had with that ordinance is the way that it was written. And it was written in a way that I felt that we were going to be like going into socioeconomic, lower social class places, and we were going to look for people that were smoking cigarettes that were under the age of 21. That was my fear. Now, I don't think that was the goal, but the way the ordinance was written, it wasn't, correct.
There was criminalization involved.
There you
right?
go. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you for putting that out there. So what I said was I was not going to vote for that ordinance because that scared me. And so other people didn't vote for it for the the same types of reasons. And so they went back and they rewrote the ordinance. And all it is now is you've got to be 21 to purchase cigarettes, right? If you try to purchase them and you're only 18, well, that's on you. If you purchase them and they don't card you, it's on them. It's all about the transaction, nothing else.
Yeah.
And no possession charge
Right.
if you were to be caught with them.
Yes. Listen. Are you running for city council?
I was at the meeting because I ran an e-cig store.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm very intimate
Yeah.
with that whole thing.
Yeah, it was a very that was a frustrating issue for me
Yeah.
because of stuff that went down. But I knew that it was most likely going to pass somehow. So we talked about how it was written, and we changed that. And so, did that answer your question?
I think so. I
Okay.
got city council member Jenn Melby wants kids to smoke.
Yeah.
That was
Oh no, no, no.
yeah, it was clear as day. We got all the nuance right here.
You had said you had actually said in the council meeting where the decision made that whole thing that like the only reason you wanted to get rid of it before was that you felt the criminalization would
Yeah.
lead to lower income,
Yeah.
especially these being lower income young people
Yes.
catching a charge that's really negligible.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, thank you for remembering what I was doing.
Yeah, and that's a position I'm glad that someone took because
Yeah.
I think that's
Yeah.
the kind of like a lot of
Thank you.
stuff gets pushed through like that. And,
Oh, yeah.
I want to keep kids out of prisons.
Yeah.
Like in general.
I know, I do too, and I'm frustrated with criminalizing addiction. If I'm being completely honest, I'm really frustrated with people that I know and love that are dealing with addiction and they're being criminalized, and that's frustrating for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get after it a lot because I want to replace a lot of the authoritarian
Yes.
things that are going on, especially with police, with social systems, and things that fix the problem before it ever happens.
Yeah.
And I feel like some of those things are taking the thing, and they're just like. It's very quick to like characterize it as like, oh, you're a child with no solutions, and it's
Yeah.
like, well, I mean, actually, I have a lot of solutions that you just don't want to hear, and like I could point you to those resources. But
Yep.
I mean, either way, some of those decisions are being made on a small level, and I'm thankful that someone is thinking
Yeah.
about keeping people out of those systems.
Oh, good. I appreciate that. Yeah, that's something I really believe in. And, it's true. I mean, things can just get passed through if we're not paying attention. So we've got to make sure that we get people on the council that are looking at those things, and paying attention to the information that comes forward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's touch back on the party thing. So, why don't we tell people where to find that the event that's upcoming? Sorry, what's it called?
The Old Town Art Fair. Yeah.
Well,
A lot of my
podcast.
discussions go this way, so I'm not surprised. So we're
No,
coming back.
that was all great. I think we should come in for a landing.
Yeah,
here.
absolutely. The Old Town Art Fair, you can find the Facebook page at Old Town Art Fair Mankato. So we'll be posting stuff there. We'll have stuff on the Coffee Hag site too, because it's connected to the Coffee Hag, and the Old Town Mankato site. So those are all on Facebook. You can find Old Town Mankato, and yeah, is that
Okay.
making sense? Yeah, okay.
I think that covers the bases pretty well.
Yeah.
Well, I want to thank you for joining us today.
Yeah.
I think this was great. I actually, do you have any?
I don't have anything else. If you have any things that you didn't, if you have anything you just want to like say, or any reflections or stories or things that you thought have been meaningful along the way, we'd love to hear them, or feel free to share.
Okay. Yeah, I love that kind of stuff. Being a person that owns a coffee shop in Mankato, I've been able to meet a lot of really great people. And some of the stories that are really great are things like I got a letter from a young person who said that they used to come to the Hag, like 5 years ago. It was their safe space, and they have now transitioned, and now they have a great job in the cities, and they felt that the Hag was a healing place for them to come and not be made fun of when they're in school. That's why they came to the Hag. So moments like that remind me that what we do makes a difference. And same thing with the Old Town Art Fair, having people that can come to a place with their family and their kids, and they're going to be loved and respected for who they are, no matter what. They can come and enjoy themselves at the Old Town Art Fair. I had a staff member that wrote a little note on someone's coffee cup because somebody came in to get them coffee and they were in the hospital. So we wrote a note to them on the coffee cup, and we received a letter from that person on a coffee bag thanking us for, supplying them with some love and positivity. And so we have a lot of stories like that at the Coffee Hag. And on the city council level, we really do have the ability to make some really positive change if you run for city council. It's not about, don't run because you want to, do one thing. Run because you love your community and you believe in the community and you want to make a difference. And sometimes making a difference is just being as level-headed as you can be on the city council. So, there's some decisions that we've made that have helped a lot of people, and I'm very thankful for that. But, the other thing that's really great is being part of this community for a while now, seeing talented people like you guys, coming through and saying, hey, this is something we want to do. This is something we believe in, and we're going to do it. And I commend all of you, and you should all run for city council. But, I thank you guys for doing what you do and for being a voice in Mankato, because we need that. And I'm so happy you asked me to do this. I'll come back anytime.
Oh, yeah, you're certainly welcome to. And that was, thank you.
Yeah.
That was excellent.
Absolutely.
Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you.
Claire.